and our investing in renewable energy would solve the problem of the fossil fuels and CO2 emissions with that. And homes can move towards self-sufficiency with powering themselves with solar panels and that sort of thing. 1 minute. Okay. Like Tom Bates, the Berkeley mayor, has made a solar panel initiative that can make solar panels on homes really easy with his economic plan, which many other cities are starting to follow. Citizens can really easily get solar panels in their homes and like pay back their loans and save a lot of money. Green jobs are another critical part of our solution. Installing Berkeley solar panels and updating cars to be more environmentally friendly and doing research on green technology, all of this would demand a big labor force and hopefully relatively little training, so it could attract different people. We're out of time, but.
Yeah, I'll just say my last line. We want to work with the global community to implement these solutions and are very committed to doing so.
So questions?
If you guys want, feel free to expand. We can shorten our questions. So if you guys have a couple more.
I think we about covered it. We can take questions.
You sure?
Yeah.
We can do questions.
Okay, so you guys are a wealthy country and a well-educated population, right? So the idea was that there shouldn't be any obstacles to this. And what I liked about the presentation is you guys focused on a lot of the solutions, but unlike where some of the other groups didn't focus as much on solutions, but I think what you guys should also try to address is why hasn't there been this? If these solutions are so obvious and there's money to be made, and you have a well-educated population and you have a wealthy country, why hasn't this been done? And so I'm sure you guys have discussed it, so I'd be interested in what you guys think, and in terms of corporations and oil companies and all that.
Well, we feel like that while the population of our country has definitely dedicated themselves to a green movement, the political office hasn't reflected it, similar to, like, take the US for example, with Kyoto, which seems to be scared to really make a true definitive role into that. So we're thinking with such a supportive population, there shouldn't be any obstacles, which means taking a binding agreement should not be any issue. Because if we're taking a binding agreement, that means we're accepting the consequences which can go with not fulfilling our role.
But there does appear to be something that is hindering them, so I just want you guys to think about what that is and if that's fixable on the state level, at the federal government level. Why it's been political suicide in certain states to sort of go against this and to go against the green movement, why they had to cater to call it full business or the oil industry. And so try to figure that out so you can get to where you guys came up with great solutions.
Yeah, okay. Well, my question had to do with carbon taxes. I heard that mentioned a bit and in other presentations as well. And what I want to know is, have carbon taxes been enacted in a significant measure in any country like yours in the world? Has a significant portion of people's taxes been based on their carbon output or carbon use? And kind of related to that is, have you considered the difference between a carbon tax that's supposed to be that's supposed to keep people's tax burden the same by reducing their taxes and other like income taxes and things? Have you considered the difference between a carbon tax that's revenue neutral and actually makes people have to pay more taxes?
Yeah, I should have written them down. There were, I knew this was going to come up, but I shouldn't written them out. There have been countries, primarily Western European countries, either Norway or Sweden has a tax that is, I believe, $100 per for a ton of CO2. It's per ton of CO2 is usually how they do it. And so they have a carbon tax of $100 per ton of CO2, which jacks up the price of fossil fuels quite a bit. But their populace doesn't seem to have too much of a problem with it. And also several other countries have.
Can I ask, does their populace just swallow the additional tax, or have their taxes been eased in other departments so that the government's revenue stays the same and so their tax payments?
I didn't look into that as much as I obviously should have. But
And just to follow up, the carbon tax is one solution, but cap and trade is another solution, which is where you allow corporations to let's say, I'm just making up numbers, they're allowed to pollute 1,000 pounds per month. But then if they go over that, then they can buy credits from other companies to make up for that. So you're only allowing a certain amount nationally, how much you're allowed to pollute. After that, they have to pay a fine. And so the idea behind that is that it decreases consumption.
yeah, because what I was basing this on was the actual consumer paying for this. There are other different carbon taxes where the producer actually pays for it. But it doesn't seem like it's much of a problem for many companies. I mean, they'll willingly, at this point, a lot of the different carbon taxes, they're pretty low, and the producer, or the producer of these different emissions doesn't really have a problem paying for these things.
Yeah, and the reason I was focusing on that is that we often hear in our country people who are hesitant or resistant to carbon taxes or any kind of environmental measures. The number one reason they always give is economic. They're afraid that it will be a drag on the economy. And so the reason I'm focusing on revenue neutral versus other kinds of carbon taxes is maybe it's possible to do it without a drag on the economy.
I just mentioned it real quickly at the end, but there was a poll in 2006 by CNN and the New York Times, and initially they asked, actually I have the numbers, initially they asked 1,000 people if they would support a carbon tax, and 12% favored it, while 85% opposed it. However, when posed with the question if they would support a carbon tax to cut down on energy usage and reduce global warming, 59% favored it, while only 34% opposed it. So, I mean, people are definitely waiting and ready to work on green projects, even if it's going to cost them a little bit out of pocket.
And also about being afraid of like a drag on the economy, there's a lot of reasons why it would support the economy because of encouraging green jobs. Like the U.S. Senate Financial Committee recently approved an economic stimulus plan that included investments in green jobs and renewable technology. And the Sierra Club reported that like strong investments in renewable energy would create over 820,000 new jobs and bring millions in economic growth. And there's a lot of different like plans and structures that people are developing to encourage economic growth and green jobs.
Thank you.
Thank you.